Hello and welcome back to Nomads Notes. In this video, I'm going to show you about a great new feature with trip planning. So now you can plan your trip before you go, and then you can record all your notes as you're going. So we're going to go to our menu bar here on the left, and we've got a new option here for My Plans. And that'll take us to the My Plans page. And as you can see here, we've got a trip planning page, and I've already got one plan in here. So a plan is just like a trip. That is, you have a name, a start date, and I've got a test destination here. And you can see your plan in a table view, or you can see it in a calendar view. We'll just look at our calendar view and we can see what campsite we're at. And where we are for each night. You see we've got some gaps there. That's okay because we haven't filled in everything. And you can see this one we haven't decided on a campsite yet, but this one here we have. So we're going to go through all that and show you how to do a plan and each segment of each plan. So we're going to come up here to the Add New button and we're going to add a plan. I'm going to show you a trip I've got planned for next week. So on my plan, on my trip name, or plan name, I can call it whatever I want. I'm going to go to South Australia. And I'm going to be planning on leaving on Friday next week. And I'm going to put in a destination. And with this, we're only planning with the main vehicle. We're not planning with any other vehicles. And we can set our budget, and we can set our budget for a week, a day, or a month. So I'm going to choose a week, and I'm going to save a new plan. So you can see now I've got a plan here on the left of South Australia. And at the moment I don't have any segments. Now a segment can be just each night's campsite, or it can be a group of days or the whole trip. You can have just one segment, but we'll build a trip and plans, and I'll show you what we mean. So we're going to go up here now and we're going to add a new segment. And it comes up with a map, and the map centralizes on my current location. And so I'm going to depart from where I live. Just to go over a few things here, we've got a new segment for our plan of South Australia, and we've got our vehicle listed here. And we've got the date has automatically filled from our plan start date. And we've got our map, and we've got some other things that we'll fill here shortly. Don't worry that our map is currently situated on southeast Queensland. The map will situate wherever you are in the world. So this software or this planning tool is not unique just to southeast Australia. You can be in New York, Los Angeles, London, Paris, wherever you are in the world, and it will locate to where you are and find you your routes. So that first night, I'm going to leave on the 19th of the 4th from where I live, and I can choose either a destination or a campsite. On this particular trip, I already know where I'm going on day one, so I'm going to choose my campsite. So my campsite is in my list here, and Lennox Heads, and I'm just going to go straight to there. So I'm not going to go via anywhere else. We'll show you that later, and I'm going to compose a route now. So it will now show me right exactly to the door of where I'm going. It'll show me a route. And also now a few more details will show up. Now this is based on history of trips you've been on in the past. And so if you haven't done any trips before, some of this will come up as 0. and you can just add the information. But if you've been on, as you build more trips, the information and the data that it shows here will become much more reliable. So as I say, if there's no information here, you can put your information in, or if you don't like the information here, you can also change it. So it's showing that you would normally travel, sorry, this particular distance for this particular segment is 94.5 kilometres. If you show your distance in miles, that will show around 58 miles, and it will take me an hour and 4 minutes. It's also showing that I normally travel 265 kilometres a day on a normal day, so it will only take me one day to get there. And at the moment, I'm going to change that because I'm going to stay in this particular campsite for 3 nights. It shows me that the last time I stayed in this particular campsite, it cost me $14. Now, if you haven't stayed in this campsite before, that will come up as a 0 or blank. So you can just add in what you think the campsite will cost. But for this particular night, it already knows I've stayed here before. Now, the average expenses per day is also something that comes from Nomads Notes from your previous trips. So if you've got no data in here already, that will be 0. And I've been on lots of trips, and this is showing my average expenses per day, excluding fuel and campsites, which are already here, and excluding vehicle maintenance. So that's showing me, and I can just leave it at that, or I can change that to any amount I want. But I'm going to leave it at that for now, because Nomads Notes knows more about the detail than I do. Nomads Notes also knows what my litres per 100 kilometres or miles per gallon is, and if you read your fuel mileage in miles per gallon, it will show here. And now again, that's based on data already in the system. So if you haven't done any trips yet, that will show 0. That's okay. You just put in what we think it will be, and as the information grows in your Nomads Notes, it will become more and more reliable. So it's anticipating for my 94 kilometres that I'm going to use 26 litres of fuel, and the anticipated fuel litres here again has already filled for me because it's showing me the average I've paid for all my trips. Now I might think, well, this is going to be Easter and it's actually going to be a bit higher, so I'm going to change that for this particular trip to $1.50 per litre. Again, if you buy in gallons, that will show in gallons, and you put your price per gallon, $2 or $3, whatever that is. So you see now these figures over here on the right are changing to multiply 3 days by $49, 3 days by $14, and your kilometres, anticipated fuel by the fuel cost. It's giving you anticipated total for that first 3 days. So I'm happy with that now, and I'm going to save that segment. And it shows me here, I'm going from Eleanor to the Lennox Scout Hall, and it's showing me here where all my costs will be. And at the moment, it's showing me that my suggested budget for a week based on that information will be $530, but that'll change as we build more segments. So we're going to then leave the Lennox Scout Hall, and we're departing from, it's already up there, we don't have to fill that in. And I don't have any particular campsite I'm planning for the next night or the next 2 nights. So I'm just going to put a general direction of where we're going. And I'm heading down towards Goulburn in New South Wales. Now, because I put a destination in this time, the campsite option says gone. But if I change my mind, I can just take out the destination and the campsite option will come back. So, but we're going to go with our and just to give you an idea of how the Via works, if I compose my route now from Lennox down to Goulburn, you'll see that I go bypass the city of Sydney. So just to give you an idea of how the Via works, I might decide that I want to go and see a famous landmark in Sydney. So I'm going to type in the Sydney Opera House. Now I don't have to know the address of the Sydney Opera House, I just need to type it in. It comes up here with Sydney Opera House. So I'm going to click that there, and I'm going to compose my route again. So if we scroll in there now, I can see my original route of bypassing Sydney, and I can see now I've got a different route of coming in past the Sydney Opera House. And that's just to give you an idea of how the Via works and how the different options work. If I reset my map, I can do that, and I can compose the route again. It will now just give me just the one option because that's the one I want. And I can do as many vias as I want. Well, not as many vias as I want. I can do more vias, and I can go via somewhere else, Sydney Aquarium, while I'm there. I don't want to do that today, so I'm going to remove that one now. So I'm just going to compose my route just via the Opera House for today. And so we've now got that's going to be 964 kilometres. And it's going to take me 10 hours of driving. I really don't want to do that in one day, and it's suggesting on average it will take me 4 days, but I actually really only want to do this in 2 days, so I'm going to change this to 2 days. And I haven't chosen a campsite up here, so it's now just giving me my average campsite for all my stays over my history. So if you don't have any history in Nomads Notes yet, it won't show you anything, but you can put it in. And these particular nights, I'm planning on free camping, so I'm going to change that to 0. I expect my expenses will still be the same, and it's showing me here how much fuel that I'll need for that. And I'm going to leave it at $1.38 because we're now past Easter, and I don't expect it to be more expensive than normal. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to save my segment. So the next segment of my trip, I leave on the 24th, and on the 25th I actually want to be at Mum's. So Mum's is there. I can compose my route, and it's just showing me there. I'm only going to stay there for one night, and I'm not going to change anything here other than Mum's I don't actually pay for, and I'm going to save my segment. I can be as quick and easy as that. I'm going to add a new segment, and the next night I'm going to again choose a campsite. No, I'm not. I'm actually going to somewhere I haven't been before, and I'm going to go to Pambula Beach. So I'm going to compose my route, and it's showing me a route, and I'm just going to stay there for one night. I don't know how much it's going to cost me, but I am going to stay in a caravan park, so it's showing me there my average, so I'm going to leave it at that. But then I could say I've just looked at the website, and the website shows me it's going to cost me $43 for the night. My expenses I will leave the same, and my fuel, it's there, so I'm going to save my segment. So we can just keep going on like that until we've got all the segments we want to. So we can now look at this in a calendar view as well. So we just come up here to calendar, and we can see that each night, Atlantic Scout Hall, the next one we didn't have a particular destination, so we can just see we're somewhere for those 2 nights, and then our next 2 destinations. And again, that one we didn't have a particular campsite in mind. If we click on the actual day, it will show us the details. And those details are the same because it's the same segment, and we click on that and we've got the details. So you've got all sorts of views to look at it, either in the plan view or a calendar view. So we can finish off those segments there now, as many segments as you want. Your trip can be anything from one night, or your plan can be anything from one night to as many nights if you want, hundreds of nights. So I've just gone ahead now and entered all my details for my planned trip. I've got all different segments where I'm heading to Mount Gambier, Birdwood, Renmark, and then I'm coming home again. And so my planned trip is going to be for 25 nights for the total trip, It's going to be almost 5,000 kilometres, and with a total cost of $3,500. And if I want to break those costs down, it shows me here that fuel is going to be my biggest expense, which always is, and gives me other expenses here. And therefore it's got a suggested budget per week. So now that we've got our plan built and we're ready to go, just the day or two before we're ready to go, or the day of, we can move that now into to make it an actual trip. Because at the moment we've just got a plan for a trip. We haven't actually started our trip, and we've got a couple of different plans here. With this one, we're very happy now. We've edited, which I'll go through in another video, and we've deleted segments and we've inserted segments. Again, we'll go through another video. We're now happy with our plan, and we're going to leave in the next couple of days, or we're not going to do any more driving, so our odometer is going to be correct when we leave. So we're going to now move this into My Trips. Hover over that icon, we can see that says Move to My Trips. So we're going to click on that, and this is now just starting a new trip, just like you normally do in South Australia, in Nomads Notes. Now, all the information pre-fills for you, and you can change it if you want to. The trip's name will stay the same, and our destination. It's giving me a suggested budget per week, so I can change that if I like, and I might just change that to $1,000 per week. And I'm going to put in my start odometer, because I know what my start odometer is at the moment, and I'm not going to go anywhere between now and then. If you are going to go anywhere in your vehicle between now and then, I would leave this until the day you're going, or next day, or the day before. We're going to save that new trip. So it saves the new trip, and you can see it thinking about it coming across this blue bar here, and if we just wait a minute, it will then take us to our My Trips page. And here we now have our South Australia trip starting next week. In here, there's no information in it as yet, because we haven't actually started anywhere at the moment. And that video just highlights, gives you a quick summary of how to make a plan and segments of a plan in Nomads Notes. So now that you've come to the My Trips page, you can see the trip is loaded here on the top, because it's our most recent trip, which hasn't actually started yet. And there's no details here, as I say, because the trip hasn't started yet. But we've now got a new button up the top here, amongst all our others. So we've now got a button called Plan. We'll click on our plan, and we've got our plan here. So we can edit and delete or insert segments into our plan, just because things will change during our trip, and so we still want the ability to change it once we're travelling. We can still look at the calendar view, and we can still look at the details in the calendar view. So all the same things are there. We just go back to our plan detail. If we go back to our planning page, we'll see that that plan's not there anymore, because we are in, it's not a plan anymore, it's now a trip. So we've just got the original plan still just sitting there. So in another video, we'll show you how to edit and delete and do lots of other things with our planning section. That's it for now.